Ready to explore the cutting edge of digital infrastructure? I'm Carrie Charles, your host of Let's Get Digital. Join me as we dive into the ideas, technologies, and leaders transforming the way we connect, from wireless telecom to fiber networks, data centers, and beyond. Sponsored by Broadstaff in partnership with RCR Wireless News. Now, let's dive in and let's get digital. Welcome to Let's Get Digital podcast. I'm Carrie Charles, your host, and I have two guests with me today. Both of them live in Guam, and you're going to hear a lot about why in a moment. So I have Jim Beighley. He is the CEO of Citadel Pacific, and Jose Santiago. He is the Senior Manager of Interconnection Strategy for the Guam Exchange. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me on the show today.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for having us here.
Yes, so I want to know, how did you both land in Guam? Jim, do you want to start?
Sure. I came out to Guam, in 1992 was the first time I was studying in Taiwan, living in Asia for a brief period of time, and had the opportunity to come to Guam. So I came over here in early 1992 and fell in love with the place, to be honest. So I've been out here in Asia since then, living in Guam 3 different times.
So Jose, what about you?
I was actually born in a neighboring island called Saipan, still in the Marianas region. I came out to Guam in 2011 to pursue my degree in college and found myself working in the industry and stayed ever since.
So Jim, tell me more about the group of companies, Citadel Pacific.
So we're a diversified private holding company. Our group here in the Marianas encompasses Palau, Guam, and the Northern Mariana Islands. We're in a couple of different businesses. We have a telecommunications business that is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. We do fuel distribution and energy distribution. We have a renewable energy company, a commercial property company, and most recently the Guam Exchange, which we started a few years ago.
So what makes Guam such a strategic location for digital infrastructure and connectivity?
So that's a good question. Guam has been a strategic location for the United States for well over a century. Guam is a U.S. territory that is in Asia. It's the westernmost U.S. territory of the United States. We're 3.5 hours south of Japan. We're 3 to 4 hours east of Hong Kong and the Philippines. So it really is American soil in Asia. Guam has been a strategic location because it is the United States in Asia. We're on the other side of the date line. We're 7 hours. Once you get to Hawaii, you're still a 7-hour flight away from Guam. So we truly are in the middle of Asia. It's been an important point for the United States for many, many years. And most recently, because of geopolitics, Guam is becoming a very important location for digital infrastructure, primarily because as new subsea cables are built, connecting Singapore and from the Middle East through India, through Singapore, into the Asia Pacific region, the new digital cables are being built diverting around the South China Sea. And when you divert around the South China Sea, you come up through Indonesia and the Philippines, and you run straight into Guam. So Guam, because of its location, is becoming a very, very digital interconnection hub for the Pacific. And then when you bring cables from Singapore around Indonesia and the Philippines up into Guam, and then Guam serves sort of as the node to then get out to Taiwan, Japan, the United States, Hawaii, Australia, New Zealand, and all the South Pacific Island nations across the Pacific. So it's really about the location.
Let's back up a bit. Tell me about the Guam Exchange.
So the Guam Exchange is a facility that we built. It went live at the end of last year, and it's a IX facility, a neutral IX facility that we built so that we could aggregate a location on Guam that aggregates all of the subsea cables and subsea cable capacity that's coming into Guam into a single location for co-location, for edge nodes, for digital interconnectivity. And Jose built and manages the Internet Exchange, the IX inside of the Guam Exchange that gives the Guam Exchange its name.
Why is this the right time to invest or build digital infrastructure in Guam?
Now is the right time, mainly because of the subsea cable infrastructure that's coming into Guam. We have multiple new subsea cable systems: Apricot, Echo, Bifrost, TPU, Halai, Bukula, Proa. These are all brand new subsea cable systems deploying the latest subsea cable technology that are all basically converging on Guam and will connect Guam to Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, Indonesia, Australia, multiple pathways to the United States, and then out to 15 South Pacific Island countries, all coming in and out of Guam. So these new cables are designed, latest technology, average of about 16 terabits per fiber pair, and multiple fiber pairs on all of these cables. So it's the time for Guam is really now because of this subsea cable infrastructure that's coming here, providing a tremendous amount of redundant pathways out of Guam, a tremendous amount of subsea capacity that's coming through here. And so as different hyperscalers and different networks that are looking to interconnect Asia, different locations around Asia into the United States, into Australasia, Guam is the perfect place because you can come to one location and connect on all of these different pathways and all of these different systems and redundant routes to pretty much anywhere you want to be in the Asia Pacific region.
So how is Guam positioned in terms of like geopolitical or network resiliency for multinational operators?
So it's positioned, well, this is U.S. soil. So Guam operates under U.S. laws, U.S. security. And because of the different pathways that we have, if you are located in Guam, if you have a network node in Guam or a network deployment in Guam, you have redundant pathways now. Once all these cables are finished, which is going to be over the next 12 to 18 months, many of the systems are here now and operational. But as these systems get finished, you're going to have multiple redundant pathways to key locations like Japan, Australia, Singapore, the United States, and other locations in Asia. So it really is the only place in the Pacific region where you can locate your network and have these multiple redundant pathways out to all these important locations.
Are there any misconceptions that people have about Guam when it comes to its digital infrastructure potential?
I'm not sure if there are any misconceptions out there. I think right now the digital world and network operators are starting to look closer at Guam. I think Guam was not thought of for many, many years as an important location. It's been a strategic location for the United States, for the U.S. military, for U.S. geopolitics. But then when it comes to the digital world, I think most people are now looking at the infrastructure that's being built here and the infrastructure that's being deployed through Guam and starting to realize this is a very important location. It really is, as I said, the only location where you can go in the Pacific and have a single deployment with multiple pathways to all of the most important destinations across the Pacific.
Are there any specific industry trends that make Guam the right fit for particular workloads?
So right now, like one of the hottest items in the market are the gaming companies, because one of the things that our geo position provides is latency, equal distance to Asia, equal distance to Australia, a level playing field to the US. So all of the players that come together have all kind of like a similar latency with one another, creating a level playing field. And so that's one of the hottest items that makes Guam such a good position for the digital infrastructure.
What sets Guam? Oh, go ahead, Jim.
I was going to say we also have, if you've got a network that needs to access Indonesia, the Philippines, Singapore, Japan, Australia, Taiwan, you're basically sitting in Guam and you can have very low latency pathways, less than between 20 and 30 milliseconds, to about 8 to 900 million eyeballs, all from Guam. So it really does make it a very unique location as well for edge node and edge node deployments.
What sets Guam Exchange apart from other data centers in the region?
So Guam Exchange we build Guam Exchange because it's the only facility on Guam that is carrier neutral, open access, carrier neutral, and aggregates as an aggregation point for all of the different pathways and all the different subsea connections. And so that didn't exist in Guam before. We had express traffic coming in through a limited number of submarine cables that were coming into Guam and mainly coming in and out of the same location for express traffic and traffic through Guam. And there hasn't been a facility that was built to aggregate access to all of the different cables, both the historical cables that have been here on Guam for years, as well as all the new cables that are being deployed. So it really is the only location in Guam that is carrier neutral, open access, and is with a functioning internet exchange, and the only point where you can deploy inside of the Guam Exchange and access everything on an open basis.
Can you walk us through your infrastructure capabilities, racks, power, cooling, security, connectivity, compliance, etc.?
Sure, we have.
I know that's a lot, just in a short period of time.
We have, what we're calling phase one of the Guam Exchange, which is what we built, which is what we have completed now. Phase one of the Guam Exchange is a 2 megawatt facility. We have about 1.3 megawatts of IT load. It's tier 3 compliant. It's built to tier 3 data center standards. We have N+1 and 3N2 redundancy for power, diesel generators and UPS. We have 24/7 security monitoring and an on-site NOC, BMS, DCIM systems, biometric CCTV safeguards. So it really is the first data center, open access data center that was built on Guam, truly to international standards and the latest co-location international standards.
Excellent. Anything, Jose, to add?
Yeah, so on top of our security is also SOC 2 certified. About 260 racks offering, as Jim said, 1.3 megawatts of IT load. There are those 260 racks.
Okay. Do you offer services such as remote hands, IX peering, cloud on ramps, or managed interconnects?
Yeah, so we
go
offer
ahead,
all
Jose.
of those services that you just mentioned. So IX Peering, of course, as Jim mentioned, we operate one of the largest, or the largest IX on Guam. We offer remote hands. Being how far we are from everywhere else, remote hands is a key thing for a lot of the customers.
Did you have something to add, Jim? Or
That's Jose's world. He's really the
okay.
But yes, we have a cloud hosting capability that is actually geo-redundant in the CNMI. So located in Guam, but also a geo-redundant point in the CNMI. And yes, we have remote hands, smart hands, all available 24/7 for any customer deployments that you're looking to put into the facility.
Let's talk about your sister company, IT&E. How does IT&E factor into your overall offering?
So IT&E is our telecommunications company. They're the largest regional carrier between Guam and the CNMI. IT&E offers fiber connections, lit circuits between the Guam Exchange and any of the cable landing stations or any other digital facilities on Guam and in the CNMI. And IT&E is one of the providers that we work with. So certainly our relationship with IT&E allows the Guam Exchange to bundle any of the products that any customer may need for deployment in this region. But we also work with all of the other carriers that are available in the market. So if you're working with an existing carrier already, then Guam Exchange can work with that carrier. But IT&E has a very robust and diverse fiber footprint across the island of Guam with redundant and protected routes to any facility on Guam, any of the existing or future facilities on Guam. We have that capacity. So we have a very close partnership with IT&E, but we also work with every other carrier that is present on Guam.
So then can customers get those end-to-end solutions between Subsea, Metro, and Edge through this particular partnership?
Yes, we've worked with a couple of customers already who wanted an end-to-end solution. And so we've reached out to our Subsea partners and found them end-to-end solutions, both on Subsea, Metro, or edge deployments. It really depends on what the customer wants. But with our partnerships with the different cable operators and capacity providers, as well as with IT&E and the other carriers that are located on Guam, we can provide those end-to-end solutions if that's what you need. If there are some customers who have a small presence on Guam and are now looking to scale up their deployment because of the new routes that are coming to Guam, and so they may need one or two different services. It's really about figuring out what the customer needs. And with our deep relationships here on Guam and in the region, we can provide those end-to-end solutions, whether you're trying to get to a specific location in Japan, or you're trying to get to Taiwan or Philippines or Indonesia or Singapore, or even out to some of the more remote Pacific islands for whatever reason, we can enable that end to end. That's not a problem for us at all.
So what does IT&E bring to enterprises or hyperscalers that's unique in the Guam context?
So to primarily the fiber footprint, we have an enterprise solutions division inside of IT&E, which works with cloud migration and cloud hosting, and really the whole suite of any enterprise solutions that local industries will need. And so bringing that expertise from IT&E, I think they really understand through our experience here what it is, what issue any customer, any enterprise customer is trying to solve, and then bringing the different tools together to solve that issue from a telecommunications, digital connection, cloud hosting perspective, and any of the enterprise solutions for communications and network that someone is looking for. IT&E has a deep experience with that. And so that partnership allows us to work hand in hand to bring those end-to-end solutions to any customer.
Okay, let's look at the future. How do you see Guam evolving as part of the global internet and cloud infrastructure landscape?
So I think what's happening now is you have the first, I would call it the first wave of subsea capacity that is centered in Guam, that is coming to Guam, that is going to provide all of these very large and redundant data connections. As those pathways are created and as those pathways are deployed into Guam, we're seeing interest of different companies starting to look at Guam and say, okay, maybe this is where I should forward deploy my edge node. Or this then becomes a very smart location to say, maybe this should become a cloud region, not necessarily serving the local population in Guam, but a deployment that sitting in Guam could serve Sydney, Australia. It can serve Indonesia, Jakarta. It can serve Taiwan. It can serve Japan, and even as far out as Singapore. With all of these low latency, high density connections, it makes sense to look at Guam, and we're finding more and more people looking at Guam saying this is a smart place to centralize some of my infrastructure, because you can serve multiple locations with one network deployment. And we're seeing a lot more interest come to Guam as these digital pathways and as these subsea systems are being deployed and being interconnected, and as we interconnect them through the Guam Exchange.
Jose, what do you think? What's next for the Guam Exchange?
Well, with all of the different industries booming and coming into Guam and how things are starting to grow, as we see customers rolling in the densities of rack space that they need, the next thing is probably going to build more data centers so we can accommodate all of this booming infrastructure and booming technologies. Especially, the buzzword of the year, AI. AI racks take up, a large amount of power and capacity in a data center. And so as this develops, we're going to see a lot more of that take up space, quite literally, in the data infrastructure.
Speaking of space, do you have challenges around finding space to build data centers there?
The short answer to that is no. There's enough space in Guam to build data centers. Our limitation most recently was more of a power limitation than a space limitation. The island of Guam has a brand new 200 megawatt baseload generator coming online. Comes online later this year. So moving forward, power is not going to be an option. At our Guam Exchange campus, our phase one is the Guam Exchange that we've built now. We have adjacent space to build up to 8 megawatts more capacity in adjacent facilities that we already own and operate. And so expansion of capacity is, as this industry grows and as Guam continues to become more important for caching, for edge nodes, and as Jose said, we've started to have some interest in looking at remote AI deployments. Power is not an issue going forward, and space is not an issue. The main issue on Guam is because we're so far out in the Pacific is really your build time for construction. That's really more of the limiting factor. But we have today about $2 to $3 billion per year of construction work that's being done by the US government into Guam and its neighboring islands. So the construction capacity on Guam and capability on Guam today is higher than it's ever been because of all this infrastructure that's being built out in this part of the world, out in our islands. So we don't see any limiting factors for future growth. I think Guam as a community has solved very well and very thoughtfully those issues of power needs and space needs and all of the different components that are required for us at Guam Exchange and for us at Citadel to take advantage of what we see as many, many years of growth in this space and making Guam the digital hub that it is becoming in the Pacific and in this region. So the future looks very bright. It's a bright and sunny tropical island, and the future for this industry looks right. The infrastructure is in place now. The bedrock of the infrastructure is in place now. So we see this being a high growth area, not just for us, but for the industry on Guam altogether.
That's good to hear because so many people are struggling. So many data centers are struggling with power issues and staffing issues, which I wanted to talk to you about in just a moment. But before we go there, are you seeing interest from specific sectors besides gaming?
Yes, we are. There are a number of digital commerce companies that have a digital commerce platform across Asia that are looking to centralize some of their deployments in Guam. Trans-Pacific networks or global networks, network operators that are enabling enterprises or large global enterprise customers to get to where they need to be from point A to point B to point C or wherever that is across the Pacific have to look at Guam because all of the new future Trans-Pacific subsea capacity is routing through Guam. So we're seeing a lot of interest in that space and really any US enterprises that have a network presence in Asia or that need to establish or expand a network presence in Asia, it's making sense for them to look at Guam because you really are deploying your network in the United States, but you're deploying it in the United States at the edge that is 20 milliseconds away or less from the key regional commerce centers in Asia. So finance companies that are looking to host their data in a secure US environment have expressed interest in deploying on Guam because you have US law, you have US security standards here. So hosting certain data sets in Guam, you're hosting them in the United States, but you're hosting them on the doorstep of Asia. So there's a number of use cases that we're seeing interest in that make a lot of sense when you put these ingredients together of US soil with tremendous amount of redundant connectivity, literally sitting in Asia. We're just south of Japan. And so there's a number of use cases that we're seeing across, whether it's federal and government use cases, private enterprise, network operators, as Jose mentioned, gaming companies. We're working with a number of them that are looking to deploy a centralized network in Guam. So there's a tremendous amount of use cases, and we just see that growing as awareness of Guam starts to permeate the industry. And we're seeing that awareness grow. It's been growing tremendously over the last 2 years, mainly as more announcements are made about more subsea capacity coming through here.
With all this talk about growth, I can't help but think about people. Is it challenging to find talent in Guam? Do you have any specific strategies that you use? It sounds like an absolutely amazing place. I know I spend a lot of time in Puerto Rico, and it's just, again, sunshine, palm trees, beaches, weather. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm sure you can, use that as a benefit to get people to come to the island, right? But what are your challenges that you face with talent?
The challenges with talent are you have a fairly small population here, a natural population on Guam of 150,000 people. So naturally, you're not going to find every bit of talent that you need locally. Having said that, there is a tremendous amount of local talent. I'll let Jose talk about his own pathway and his own journey in this space. But when we do need to bring in specialized talent, it hasn't been too difficult to convince someone working in the United States or even someone working in the Philippines or Japan or Korea to come out to a beautiful tropical island in the middle of the Pacific with beautiful ocean, beautiful beaches, and wonderful scenery. So because of everyone on Guam is a U.S. citizen, and it is U.S., it's just as easy to move to Guam as it is from New York to California. So long-term, we haven't had any unsurmountable or any unsolvable talent issues. We've been able to build world-class infrastructure out here and operate world-class infrastructure out here for many, many years. But locally, there are some great programs within the University of Guam, and the industry, I think, has done a good job training local talent. Most of our workforce in both ITD and Guam Exchange is local and has been developed locally. Jose, your journey is a unique one, and so maybe you can talk more about your experience out here.
Yes, I'm a product of the University of Guam, so I'm locally grown and brewed for this industry. And a lot of the attributes where I learned all of these skills are from actually traveling different parts of the world to meet different mentors, meet different trainers, colleagues, and learn from them and learn the industry from them. And over the years of cultivating all of that knowledge, last year, the Guam Exchange actually sponsored a local network operators group where we invited all of the different carriers, the technicians, IT people to come learn about this industry. And so we could kind of homegrow and homebrew more people who can help boost this industry and support this industry. But the great thing about, the industry that we're in is that it's all digital. So as Jim was saying, it's like, if we ever had a problem or we needed some consulting or needed to onboard some staff, remote work or remote conversations are an easy click away, right? So essentially, the talent kind of spreads beyond just the physical island of Guam and can have reaches to other people in nearby regions.
So I'm sure there are people listening that are, thinking, number one, how do I get a job here? So I'd love to know more about that. And if you do have openings, and where can we find out about those job openings? And secondly, someone listening who wants to explore Guam as a digital hub, what should they do?
Reach out and contact us. Contact me, contact Jose, guamexchange.com or ix.gu or sales@guamexchange.com. Just reach out. We respond very quickly. And because it is such a unique location with so many different unique attributes or unique use cases for the infrastructure here, we are used to dealing with unique challenges that people have. And so we're very flexible and very responsive. But just reach out to us. And if you've got an issue that can be solved, then we can solve it.
I love it. Jim, Jose, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Carrie. We appreciate it. I hope you can make it out to Guam at some point.
I would love to. It sounds amazing, especially after this interview. I'd love to come out and have a tour of your data centers, and it'd be awesome.
Well, it'd be great.
Data centers and beaches.
Well, I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Let's Get Digital. This podcast is powered by Broadstaff, a national staffing firm specializing in digital infrastructure talent. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and join me next time as we explore more stories at the intersection of technology, talent, and transformation. Until then, let's get digital.